All right, let's talk about batteries. Remember this battery that we built here? It's capable of 300 amps, supposedly, according to the cell's specs. Well, we have an update. Remember, we made a PCB board, right, to be able to, well, assemble it together, right? It just kind of helps assembling it. And we printed it, right? And then we built it, and then I made some changes. And so here is the board now with the changes. Okay, so here is the original board. I had all these little pads close together, right? But as you can see, on this side, they were all separated, and so the copper on the copper layer on the PCB, well, it was gonna have to transfer all that power, right? All the energy. And because these cells are rated at 300 amps, well, I didn't think this was gonna cut it, right? Because it's a thin piece of copper. And even if you did what I did here, see how I ended up putting a bunch of solder in there to be able to add some thickness to that, and so it could handle a bit more current, right? I thought, well, that's completely unnecessary, because if you look at this side, then you can put the two tabs together, and then once you're looking at it from the side here, you're like, oh, I could move that one to here, to the middle. I could move those two to the middle. I can move those two to the middle, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, why am I putting separate, right? So then we went and we changed the file, and we moved those and put them together. Now here it is, the improved version of this board, and this is the 52, right, 14S board, and then on this one I just ordered the 20S, but the 14S is the same thing. It just, has this or this moved up here, right? So you just lose a few 6 cells or something like that, right? So now what happens is that these are all the things are together, and you see, and so now there is no copper on the board where it needs to carry all that current. Now it's just literally the bus bars, or the terminals of the cells are, almost touching together, right? And they have this big blob of solder that is going to help connect them together, right? And so therefore there needs to not be any current carrying in here. So I got this, we put it together. Here's a little bit of how that goes. Okay, so first things first, you have to be very careful when you're dealing with these batteries cells, because, well, they can put out a ton of power. And so if you short them out, it's not just gonna be some little spark, it's gonna be a big spark, and it's gonna melt things. You're gonna probably ruin the board or ruin the cells, right? You're gonna maybe burn yourself, right? Because it'll get hot probably pretty quickly. So you have to be very careful. And this board, what it does is that it requires you to, put the the cells right there, right? You're working with both tabs, and they're exposed. Two of the tabs are exposed of the new cell that you're doing, right? But see what I'm doing here? Okay, then as soon as I can, then I just put the Kapton tape on there. And so therefore, that one you can no longer short, right? So when you get the new cell, then you gotta figure out which one's the positive, which is the negative. Then you gotta bend it, because the positive is made out of aluminum, or aluminium, as many of you guys might say. And then it just has another piece at the very end that has, it has a spot welded a piece of copper in there, right? And so that's how you are able to weld into it, or solder into it. So once I measure, right, and then cut the tabs to that size, then I put them in there, and then I just tape it. And then I just start going, and then I start trying to melt the solder into those two tabs, right, that are next to each other. And then as soon as I'm done with that, it requires quite a bit of heat, as you can see there. Sometimes I found it easy to use a second soldering iron, right? And you just put it in there. But after a while, it got okay. It got easy. By the time that I was loading up all the solder in there, then it would flow, and it was nice. It was nice and hot. Everything was hot, right? Someone asked in the comments, how was I able to solder these without introducing heat into the cell? Well, that's impossible. You can't melt solder without heat. You can melt solder into the tab of a cell without introducing heat to it, right? Now, how do I do it without introducing any extra heat or unnecessary heat? Well, just do it as fast as you can. That's the only way that you can do it, right? Maybe using a secondary soldering iron will help that, but you still have to melt that much solder into it. You see that? That takes time. You kind of have to heat up that area before the solder will start flowing. And so I think there's no shortcut here. You just have to do it. Take your time, right? Try to do it as fast as you can, and then heat the whole thing. And then as soon as you finish, then the whole thing just starts flowing like that, right? Now that's just a little bubble that was created there. And then you just have to go down the entire length of the board. Okay, and here is the final version. Here's the original one, right? The 52 volt. This is a 14S, and here's its bigger brother. Look at that. Now that is a 20S, 20 cells. And I'm currently charging it using my power supply here. This power supply goes all the way to 120 volts DC. And so this is an 81, 82 volts, I think, fully charged, right? I don't know what the upper voltage. I think this could go all the way to 4.2, just like all the other ones. So I'm charging it just to 80 volts, and it's tapering down to 2.2 there. Now here's the other. So here's the board, right? And here are all the blobs. Here are all the solder blobs right there. So hopefully that's the only thing that are gonna carry all the current. Can they do 300 amps? I don't know, but here's the deal. I don't even have a load that could do 300 amps. Like, how do I test this, right? I'm looking at all my equipment. This 2 inverters that I have here can handle the 80 volts, right? The thing is that these are 2,000 plus 2, that's only 4,000 watts, right? So you're looking at like 55 amps. So we're gonna do the best we can tonight, and we're just gonna load it with 55 amps, see how it handles 55 amps. At least what is that? That's 1/6 of the power, right? So because it's like 50 and yeah, that's like, I don't know, like 1/6 of the power that it's supposed to be able to do. Now my theory is that the board, no problem, it's not even gonna sweat it, right? I think what's gonna happen is those little terminals. I don't think those terminals can do 300, but then again, why would a cell be rated at 50C, right? If it's 6.2 amp hours, 50C literally is 300 amps. So can that little, I don't know. We'll see. But and then you're like, well, this is a Chinese cell, right? So Chinese are known to sometimes fudge with the numbers, just to make it look good or whatever. That could be very possible here. And the only way to really find out is to do some tests, right? And the only thing is, you're going to have to get creative. If you have any ideas of how I can load this properly, right? Because I'm kind of at a loss right now. So the one thing I was thinking is that maybe I can make a board, the 10S. A few of you guys have asked for a 10S, and I'm like, come on, I'm giving you the 4S, the one that I didn't brew. That's the one that people want. And so, but here's the thing, maybe I should draw it. I should draw the 10S, because then 10S, then you can put it right here. Then you could just solder that in there. And now with the 10S, Now you make it into a 30S, right? And that's on 111 nominal volt battery pack. And I know what you're saying is, what the hell's a 111? Like, that's weird. Well, that's my car. And my car is an 80 kilowatt load. And so I can essentially build a 20S and then a 10S, put it together, and that's a 30S pack that I can put on my car, put a big connector, and then try to see if this tiny little pack will drive my car, I don't know, it's only gonna go a few miles, maybe 2-3 miles or something before it dies. But it should be able to do it at full speed. Well, not full speed, because my thing can pull like 700 amps. And this thing, it's a 300 amp pack. But just think about that, right? If this is capable of doing 300 amps, so then we do, it's like we built another 20 and another 10, and a battery pack this size could push my bus at full speed, at full power, for 5 miles or something. I think it's less than that. That is pretty amazing when it comes to this, right? Of course, that's if these can push 300 amps. We'll have to see, and that's going to be an interesting project and test. But the thing with those is it take a long time. I got to build this, then I got to go in there, I got to put my car, got to disconnect the other pack. You know what I mean? Like, so just kind of to prove a point or whatever. It's like, I don't know. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll push to these. Just for fun, right? Just to see what these things could do. But definitely, this could do a very powerful e-bike build. This one even bigger, right? 72 volts. This could do like an off-road bike or something. Could push quite a bit of power. Definitely could do 200 amps, no problem, right? So let's actually look at that. It just reached 80 volts. So, here's the other thing that I want to talk about is these connectors. So the original one, I put this connector here because this had enough pins to do the 14S. But on this one here, now it's a 20S, right? So you're looking at how many pins? Well, 22 pins, right? 21 pins, I think, if it's a 20S. So I didn't have a thing, and I didn't want to put in, it's like I wanted to keep this small. And so what I ended up doing, just doing these 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, these 8 pins. And here's the thing that I did. I repeated the last pin, right? So it goes 1 through 8, and then 8 also is on this pin right here. And so it starts 8 through 15. And then 15, again, it's on this one, and it goes. And why would you want to do double pin, right? Why is 8 over here, and then 15 is over here and over here too? Well, because that allows you to use these little things to check the, there we go. You just connect it in there. Look at that. It's not perfectly balanced, I guess. I just grabbed these cells random. They're new, right? So, and then let's see if this thing does it, right? And so now, if I had 3 of these, I only have 2, but if I have 3 of this, I could put them all 3 connected into this battery pack right here, and I would be able to visually see exactly what every single one of the 20 cells is at, right? And so the only way we can do that is, of course, if we disconnect it because I don't have 3 of them. But you could do that, right? Now, of course, the main reason for that is, maybe you want to do a BMS, and you put the BMS on the side here, connect the negative through the BMS, and then all these leads are going to go into the BMS. So you make a little connector sort of like this, and then you put it in there, and then now you go, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's kind of weird because it kind of sticks out, but this kind of sticks out. I don't know. It's just a thing that I try there. You don't have to use that one. You could put, you kind of do need some kind of connector in there, right? But there are choices. This is a very popular pitch, right, of connector right here. So they come in all kinds of sizes. Like you can't even put one in here with little screw terminals and stuff, right? But of course, I don't know if you want to do that. Again, this is a risky battery, right? This can, if you short any of this out, obviously if you short these little traces are so small that they will burn. They're almost like a fuse, right? Maybe in the future iterations, I'll put those bigger so that the BMS can balance at 1 or 2 or 3 amps or something like that. So, anyways, the voltage is up there. The cells are about 4 volts already, right? Let's connect our 4 kilowatt load and then see how it does. See how it handles 55 amps. Right? The best that we can do tonight. Okay, so here is our test. Again, just our battery, 72 volts, right, at 80 right now. Then we have this to measure the current. Then these are connected in parallel, right? They can do up to 90 volts. So, and then I'm just gonna plug in 240 volts on these ones in here. So I know it's a thin wire, but 4 kilowatt and 220 volts, it's just like 18 amps or something. So this thing will be able to carry it. We're not gonna run this test very long. So let's do this. Let's plug in the first one and see what it does. So here we go. It recognizes the 80 volts and 206 volts in the grid. Oh, that's weird. Oh, 33. There we go. So it's doing 33 amps. So if we do the second one, it'll do 6. All right, it's doing 69, almost 70 amps. Let's put the thermal camera and see how the battery's doing. Oh, by the way, here's the cells. There's some sagging at 70 amps. I don't know about this batteries. Oh, look at that. Oh, this battery is warm. This ain't no 50C cells. Okay, those cells are a bit warm. Look, they're almost, they're 30, almost, they're gonna get at 40 right now. And they're sagging 3.5. They're sagging half a volt with only 71 amps. What's 71 amps? 6. This is 10. So this is like 12C. Oh no. Okay. So one cell already dropped. Number 3. Okay. Let's take this. Okay, so number 3. Where's number 3? This one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this pack it's warm at 12 C's. And you see that number 3, cell number 3. Okay, so that is actually warmer than all the others. Yeah, look at that. And the difference, it's 2.9. So yeah, it just literally just dropped off. All right. So what happened here? Well, it turns out our little battery packs here are, if 50C, that's the peak like burst rating, obviously, right? This is not the continuous rating of the cell. The continuous rating, it's somewhere around 10 to 12C. Like we loaded on with 12C, right? 70 amps, right? On a 6.2. And this is continuous. It ran for, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something. Until the battery ran out. Until the battery just completely died. And then that one, number 3, I was thinking that maybe there's something wrong with it. But to tell you the truth, I didn't balance this. I just built it and then I charged it a little bit and then I loaded them up, right? And so Now we caught it. It didn't go down too far. It stopped. We stopped right around 3 volts, right? And so then I just put a bit of charge in there, and then now it recovered, right? So we'll have to balance this. Put through a one balance cycle, and then it'll be fine. So there you go. We got 5. If you multiply 70 times 72, right? 70 amps times 72 volts. Well, that's 5 kilowatt. This battery right here was able to do 5 kilowatt continuous. Now that's no 50C, right? It's no 20 kilowatts supposedly, but yeah, this is the burst rating. I'm sure if you load it, right, an acceleration or something going uphill or something, maybe it'll give you 50C, right? But even that, I don't know. I doubt it, right? Like I said, those little bus bars, those will handle 70 amps. They won't handle 300 amps. Like I said, on dead short, maybe, right? For a few seconds, it'll do 50C continuous. There you go. So we're gonna put this information on our website, right? Because our website was kind of vague. These cells, there was not a lot of info on them, and so we just put what was on the label here, right? And you know, I've been super busy. Now I'm getting around to testing this and making some of these little boards to be able to make these useful and stuff. There you go. Solid, 12C continuous packs. We'll put that on the description there so that people will know what they're buying, and then we'll put this video up there so that we can see that test, right? A lot of the stuff, a lot of times, this is the only way to find out. You just have to test this stuff, right? Because you can't trust those labels because, who knows? I mean, it's like the amplifiers from the 90s, right? 20,000 watts, for a little thing, a little amplifier. Yeah, manufacturers are known to fudge the numbers and, be a little optimistic with the numbers and stuff. But there you go. We will move on. Tomorrow we're doing another thing. We're building another high power battery. Now the Headways, we do know that they put out quite a bit of power. Now, will these be able to handle all the power that the Headways do? Well, stay tuned. Tune in back tomorrow or the next day. I don't know, whenever I can get to the thing. And then we're going to be putting that battery pack together. I'm also going to have trouble loading that. I only have a 2,000 watt inverter. I'm going to need some other 12 volt inverter. We'll figure it out. So there you go. Thank you for watching these videos. We'll see you guys on the next video. All right, bye.